Mediators in the ongoing doctors' pay dispute have been given 7 more days to continue with negotiation talks. The Court of Appeal granted the Law Society of Kenya and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights the extra time after the parties failed to reach a consensus. Appearing before a 3-judge bench led by Lady Justice Hannah Okwnegu, the mediators reported progress in the talks but said outstanding issues are still pending. Our senior reporter Rita Tinina attended this particular court session and now joins us live from our city center studios for more updates. Rita, thank you for joining us. I don't know whether you were able to speak to members of LSK and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission. What could be the issues that are still holding them back from brokering a deal between the doctors and the government?
Well, Akisa, throughout it was not, we were not able to speak to the mediators. They have maintained that what is going on, they are bound by secrecy and confidentiality. And in fact, that is one of the issues that came up before the Court of Appeal today. Today is when they were returning to give a progress report. They had been given 7 days last week on Wednesday to go and mediate, lead the mediations. And today they were to return to court and give a progress report. When they gave that progress report, they asked that the court also maintains the secrecy and confidentiality. And eventually the judges then ruled that the document on the progress that had been made, which had been filed in court, should be returned to the mediators just in case some information leaked. Then the court will not be blamed. The mediators failed to meet the initial deadline. Last week, they were given 7 days. It was the first time on Wednesday last week that the parties in this dispute were appearing before the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal gave several directives. One of them was the release of the union officials, 7 union officials who had been jailed and who had spent 2 nights in custody. The Court of Appeal then directed that they be released pending the hearing and determination of the case. And the second directive was for the LSK and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights to lead these mediation efforts. And so today they have been given a further 7 days. The mediators asked for those 7 days. The Council of Governors, which was the party that went to court in the first place, asked for 2 days. Stretching it too much would go for 2 days. They say this has been postponed over and over again at the Employment and Labor Relations Court, where this case was initially. Before the union officials appealed at the Court of Appeal, they also had been given extra time. The case being pushed forward 3 times to allow for negotiations. That now has come to the Court of Appeal. The second time that the parties are failing to reach a consensus. The talks in this process have collapsed several times. On Tuesday this week, we got communication from the Law Society of Kenya and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights indicating that the talks had taken a recess and were scheduled to resume this afternoon after the morning court session. So we are waiting to see whether those talks will indeed resume this afternoon. Akisa.
Right. Earlier on during the week, there's a post that Director of Communications on PSU, Dennis Itumbi, made that seemingly angered doctors. Rita, this is a story you've been following up for a while, and it was said that this deterred more talks from happening. What, according to you, is this something that could hold water?
Yes, in fact, Akisa, the doctors were very annoyed. They say, you know, we are engaging in talks here, trying to resolve the issues. And what we are agreeing here, even we are bound by confidentiality and secrecy. And there is some information which they said was misleading information. It was not the true picture of what was going on in the negotiations. And that is one fact that may have derailed the talks. The mediators saying they had taken a recess by the doctors who were very angered by that post, seemingly taking time off the negotiations, maybe perhaps following those actions by Dennis Itumbi just to display their anger at that post. Akisa.
In the next 7 days, of course, we are expecting intense negotiations, but are they confident that they would have reached a deal by then?
Well, there is no telling if they will have reached a consensus or not. Last week, they gave their word that they were going to have negotiated and come back with a progress report. That did not happen. This was the case even with Francis Atwoli. I remember going back to the Employment and Labor Relations Court, and he intervened and said, KOTU, the Central Organization of Trade Unions, will take this up. He appeared in court and gave an assurance to the court that in 1 week, I will have managed this, I will come up with a solution. In that 1 week, he had failed, and he said, you know, if something has failed, the Central Organization of Trade Unions, if I have intervened into something and I have failed, as Francis Atwoli, there is more to this. It is not a normal strike. So we'll wait and see whether this time around the LSK and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights will manage to solve this. But it is also being complicated by the fact that the CBA, which is the basis of this doctor's strike, now in its 81st day, was trashed yesterday as illegal. The legality of this document also part of the case, the contempt of court case facing the doctors' union officials. But yesterday, the Ministry of Health, the SRC, the Public Service Commission, which are all parties in this dispute and which have been engaging the doctors' union officials, saying that this document is illegal. As far as the government was saying, see, we have the goodwill to engage in negotiations. This document, we cannot rely on it. The SRC saying that, in fact, they informed the doctors' union officials that the document was not legal during a meeting last year. And they said they indicated to the officials that they were willing to negotiate, start from scratch. They agreed that there were issues that were outstanding, issues that need to be addressed when it comes to the doctors, but they said they couldn't be addressed through this CBA. They have said they have tried to come up with a recognition agreement, but the doctors will not budge. They insist they have to, the 2013 collective bargaining agreement has to be implemented. Back to you, Akisa. I seem to have lost you.
Rita, thank you. Our senior reporter there, Rita Tinina, with details of the court ruling made earlier on today with